I've been called away in the Nild because we've got this helium balloon that's floated up to the top. And we need to remove it because if it falls down like in the dead of night, it will set off all the alarms. So we've got this, it's a big stick with it's 3 sticks that are extendable, telescopic. And on the end, it's got a tennis ball stuffed with drawing pins. You can pop stuff. So we can't find this stick.
See, this is the kind of story about sound and lighting engineers you just don't get to hear every day.
This is Sheer Isolation. It's presented by Kieran Moore in Chippenham and John Ponting in Cricklade.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sheer Isolation. You are joining myself, John Ponting, in my usual spot in Cricklade, and my friend Kieran Moore, who has another completely new backdrop for us to admire.
I am, so that's correct. Today I am in Chippenham Town Council. I'm in the meeting place at the bottom of the building. I'm trying to do a podcast in every single room before I finally leave the organisation. I'm getting there, I think.
It kind of looks like you're in a kind of a ski lodge with that timber pyramid roof with that nice big skylight.
It's definitely not a ski lodge. It's a very bizarre bar.
Well, the purpose of this show is to promote the local music and art scene and to talk about Kieran's ever-changing backdrops. And this week's guest, we're kind of stepping back in time, a guy from a newspaper, Kieran.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? We have a guy called Ben Parks, and Ben is the brand new editor-in-chief of the Trowbridge newspaper. So this is a newspaper for the whole of Trowbridge called Celebrate. And it's basically being driven or run by the guys at the town hall, but it's a Trowbridge newspaper. So very broad spectrum thing.
So we've got that to come. Obviously, we record this a couple of days before it gets out on the radio. So by the time you hear this, but I will have been at the Swindon Shuffle for quite a lot. Will you have been there as well, Kieran?
Mate, I am working so much. Saturday night, I have Women in Rock. It's loads of scantily clad women rocking out to soft rock records. So I'm looking forward to that. Sunday, I've got a dance show. Friday, it's my daughter's birthday.
Also this weekend, which has just passed, if you're listening, going to see an orchestra playing some rock and metal covers. It's going to be fascinating. I love that kind of thing. I like that crossover.
Yeah. Where's that, John? Where's that?
At Mecca in Swindon. Well, it's time for us to play a tune, I reckon. And we've got a brand new track from one of our favourite bands here at Sheer Isolation.
It is. So this is a lovely, lovely exclusive. And it's a brand new track from the Erotic Secrets of Pompeii. And it's a song called In the Cosmic Hour. It's classic Erotic Secrets. It's fuzzy, it's loud, it's noisy, it's fun. It's got lovely ambiguous lyrics. But what goes with this particularly is a wonderful, wonderful video. They really put a lot of efforts into the way that they present themselves. And this has got like some really sort of 80s cinema vibes going on, which I enjoyed an awful lot. So great to listen to, great to watch.
Made of prawns, it will not hold. I couldn't handle rebellion. Regret. The party wasn't over when I took myself to bed. I was under the influence of a black static moon with tides
So that was in the Cosmic Hour from the Erotic Secrets of Pompeii, and it does look like they've recorded it on VHS because you've got the distortion lines of a slightly worn tape. I'd love to know if that's genuine or if they've got a really good effects budget.
Nah, they got effects budget, mate. It's not genuine.
Oh,
I don't think the technology exists anymore, John.
I've got a fully working VHS. It's right next to my Mega Drive.
Yeah, John, you know, SCART cables don't exist anymore either, mate.
I've got at least 20 in the loft, just in case the one I'm using breaks.
You're going to be going to the new VGA soon, won't you? This new VGA.
I was tempted to get a PlayStation 2, but I can't seem to find them these days.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Are Erotic Secrets touring at the moment?
They've got some shows coming up, but they're not touring. They're playing in Bristol, so they're a Chippenham / Bristol-based band. But they are sort of focused on the whole Bristol side of things. I do believe they're playing a show at some point soon. I think it's at the George, and I really want to go because I've never actually seen them live. And for me, it just seems like it'd be wicked.
So, yeah, agreed. Yeah, they're a great band. They're one of my favourites, definitely. I'm guessing since you're hidden away in an office in Chippenham that you don't have any product placement this week.
I don't, and I'm really sad because I've got Dan O'Dell / Heartworks brand new album, and I really want to share it with you. He's got amazing artwork. I've just not been very organised.
We'll get back to your house eventually, and we'll see the kitchen refurb, and it will all look amazing.
It will. It will.
In which case, let us move on to this week's guest on Sheer Isolation. We're talking to a chap called Ben Parks, who has got involved in a reasonably new project in Trowbridge to bring back print media for the greater good of the community. It's
been a surprising reaction from Trowbridge because it's had a really, really good, wonderfully good feedback. There's actually, I will say something to you now, John. I didn't say it in the interview, but through handing out the newspapers to various people, we've managed to convince certain people in Trowbridge that there is exciting stuff happening. And I did say in the interview that it's a physical embodiment of that. It's proof. I think really that's the most important thing, that if people don't believe something's happening, but then you hand them a newspaper and it shows you all the wonderful things that are happening, it's almost like you can't deny it. So Trowbridge is changing, and this is just another small example.
Cool. And I started by asking Ben just to give us a little bit of the background about the paper in the first place.
I've just taken on the Celebrate community paper, which is a bit of a retro project, an actual paper newspaper. And those were going out of fashion a little while ago, but Trowbridge Town Hall, in their wisdom, decided to bring back that format. So it's a tabloid paper. And the aim of the game is to celebrate Trowbridge. And that may be a bit of a task, but we are up for it. And they've had one issue, and I say they because I've only just got involved with producing the second issue. So the first issue was great success, but we want to build it, make it brighter and shinier, talk to more people. And I am busy putting it to bed in the old parlance right now. It means getting everything on the page, all the typos corrected, all the pictures placed, and chasing up all those missing bits. I'm in the middle of that now, and it looks good.
Cool. For someone who's kind of coming up to a deadline, you seem very chilled about the whole thing. Particularly as it's your first one as well.
I've just... I'm also a yoga teacher, so I'm just employing those techniques as well to help out.
That's why you're sat so funny. So how you mentioned it yourself about this being quite an unusual kind of in a way kind of a back step for Trowbridge to be taking. So did you know why they've decided to go back to a paper print?
The team at the town hall, which I'm now a part of on a freelance basis, are really creative and curious people. They're thinking of new ways to do things, and we're sort of hijacking the old newspaper format, taking it back from the dare I say dying industry that it is, and turning it to our own advantage by filling it with beautiful, exciting, positive news, which was always, when I was a journalist in the past, was always the stuff that got either left at the back of the paper or dumped off the news list completely. So I'm doing it topsy-turvy and putting all of the good stuff in, because it's run by us, by the town hall, Trowbridge Town Hall, for the people of Trowbridge. So we get to do that. So we're using this old format in a wacky, retro way. And I was surprised when I saw it, because newspapers are dying. You know, that industry is on the way out. I used to be a newspaper journalist in a past life. So I was really surprised when I saw it, and then taking a closer look, seeing they're kind of we are taking back that format and using it to our own advantage, and doing it a different way. And so it's just a really sort of pleasing, quirky, retro thing to do, which I think grabs people's attention.
Absolutely. So we, I had a couple of weeks ago, we were doing the bandstand in Trowbridge town, in the park there, and we had a captive audience of people who were watching the music. And I went to the town hall, I picked up 20 copies of the paper, I walked back down to the gig, and I handed them all out. And there's something about a newspaper that, unlike social media, that if you're reading a newspaper and you read the article that interests you, you might read the article next to it because it's there. Obviously, the paper's very bright, very engaging, very interesting, and you might absorb information that otherwise you wouldn't necessarily get. Obviously, we're a barrage of information in this day and age, and we very rarely take 2 moments just to sit and read. And a newspaper almost forces you into that. That's right. And it's also very useful to light fires as we come into autumn. If you've got a log burn and you need to light a fire. Well, yes, that's also true.
So Ben, how did you end up specifically doing this? I know you mentioned that you've been a journalist in a previous life. So did you apply for this, or did it kind of fall into your lap?
I've been hanging around Trowbridge Town Hall for a little while, like a bad smell that won't go away, because first of all, there's lots of exciting things happening there, and I want to be involved. Like I said earlier, there's a great team there, headed by a really innovative guy, David Lockwood, and there's just great ideas, and there's some money backing it as well. So I think it's quite exciting at the moment, and I want to be involved. But I guess the sort of philosophical reason, there's a deeper reason why I'm involved, is because I am a critic of Trowbridge. I am a realistic, there is a pessimistic person, if I'm completely honest. And I look around Trowbridge and I think, geez, I want this to be better, right? And so for a long time, I've been a critic on the outskirts, just whining away, you know, in the shadows. And I just thought, you know, Ben, if you want something to change, get off your butt, get doing something, make some sort of change. What skills have you got? What can you offer? How can you make something better? And this was one way that I could do that. So I guess I'm just putting my money where my mouth is, and getting out of the shadows and getting onto the floor or the stage.
There's a wonderful phrase I like to bring out every now and then, and it's basically be the change you want to see. So if you want things to be better, go and do it and make it better. And you're absolutely right. A lot of people do like to complain.
Ben, do you want to give us a few examples of some of the content that's going to be in the next edition? In particular, to do with things like arts and music and theatre and events, that kind of thing.
So we've doubled the what's on pages for this issue, hoping to just cram that full of films, music, events, gigs, clubs, and whatever else wants to go in there, whoever else wants to go in there, just so that we can spread the news about what's on. I often find that when I'm talking to people about this paper on the street, that old task of the reporter to actually go out on the street and talk to real life people before they were chained to their offices and their phones. I tell people about what's happening in the town hall. There's a cinema, film club, and there's all sorts going on. And they say, "What? In the town hall?" Yeah, in the town hall. And I was sat in the cafe the other day, and a man was on his phone trying to direct his friend to the town hall. He said, I'm in the town hall having a coffee. Yeah, in the town. You just walk through the doors of the town hall in there. It's like people in Trowbridge are incredulous that anything exciting and creative could be happening in the town hall. But there's a whole program going on there. And I need help connecting to and championing the music and artistic scene, which is what partly why I'm doing this, to make these connections with
excellent. Well, you've come to the right place. You've come to the right place. So obviously I've been doing music in Trowbridge for the last 3 years. I'm doing music in Wiltshire for the last 17. I'm sure at some point when we're in the town hall next week, I'll catch up with you properly and we'll go through some of these organizations and get you in contact with various people. We'll start building that picture.
Yeah, because we're right at the beginning, and it's about connection. When I started this paper, honestly, I thought I'm going to have a hard time filling this with things to celebrate. And that was my sort of inner critic, cynic, like this is never going to happen. But I've been deluged with really exciting things, and people and events and stories. It's really surprised me pleasantly, and I've had to eat my hat on that. Totally. Excellent. And I'm really glad that I am.
That's really good. I've got 2 questions about the paper. Number one, what's the distribution in terms of quantity? How many are we printing this time round?
So again, 3,000 again, like before.
Excellent. That's a good number. And who's doing the artwork for the front cover?
Samuel Lindup is a local artist. Yeah, he's going to be our regular front cover guy.
Excellent, because his first front cover was exceptional. It was bright. You looked at it. It just become interesting. I wanted to pick it up.
Yeah, that cover did something to me when I saw it. Made me tingle.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Is there anything else we need to say? What's the drop date of this magazine? When's it coming out?
It's Thursday the 23rd, so we're not far off.
Excellent. It's my son's birthday.
Samuel Lindup pulled together some other Trowbridge artists for this issue to share some of their work, which is really exciting. There's a whole page on that. And you mentioned green issues before. There's a page about Trowbridge Eco Group, which I've got lots of projects going on around the town, and we're really championing them as well. Did I see you in the River Biss pulling shopping trolleys out the other day?
No, I didn't do that one. I have been in the River Biss in the past, pulling out hypodermic needles and mobile phones and knives. But on this trolley, but no, I've done that before.
Yeah, I tried to get down to this recent one with my kids, but I've got 4 kids under 8. It just wasn't going to happen logistically. But we did see what they pulled out. There was a number of shopping trolleys, chairs from the restaurants nearby, a load of rubbish. But that's just such great work. Those are the sort of people who are, really on stage, doing it, making it happen. That's inspiring for me.
Really quickly, Ben, just before you go, can you tell people how to get hold of the paper and what was it called again?
The paper is called Celebrate. That one word. And distribution is our next challenge, but you can pick one up for free at Trowbridge Town Hall, and a lot of other businesses around Trowbridge stack it up on their premises. There are some volunteers going around putting it through letterboxes, but you do have to work a bit harder. Meet us in the middle to get it, because we haven't worked out the distribution yet.
I think it's about time for us to talk about the track that you've picked, Ben.
Yes.
You want to tell us about
that? Who've you picked and why?
There's an artist on YouTube called the Kiffness, and he does predominantly sort of novelty tracks. And I thought, I'm going on this sort of artistic musical podcast, and they're going to think I'm an idiot for picking this track. But I must explain myself. I'm 42, so I'm totally disconnected from anything which is remotely contemporary in the music scene. But throughout lockdown, one thing that kept us going, me and my kids, brought us a little bit of joy, was this artist called the Kiffness, and he did this song recently, which I picked, which I think you're going to play, which was a sort of drum and bass inspired track. And I grew up, I just missed the rave scene when I was a teenager, and there was drum and bass and dance around. So it just pressed my buttons, and then my whole family were able to dance around to it and experience a little bit of joy in what was quite a miserable year. So we love the Kiffness, and I personally love this song because it's got a retro feel to it.
That track was Ben's selection. It's by Kiffness. I really don't know that much about them, but that track is Tie Pile Drivers, and just goes to show that we are happy to play absolutely anything here on Sheer Isolation. We love everything.
High on drivers, and that makes me think of computer drivers, and there's nothing I get high on with drivers. I just get angry at them.
Especially printer drivers. Why are they so complicated?
Why are they so complicated?
It's only a printer.
Yes.
You can plug a keyboard in, doesn't need a driver. It knows it's a keyboard. Well, what? I don't know. Anyway, that's for our other
changed
podcast.
Since the inception.
That's for our other podcast. Two grumpy gits talk about IT software,
Technology,
hardware.
Man shouts at cloud. Yeah.
Lovely Simpsons reference there. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah. Show my age. The kids don't watch Simpsons anymore.
Let's ignore the fact that I'm working my way through the Simpsons entirety on Disney Plus, and let's move on to news for this week. Something I wanted to check in with you, Kieran, because apparently by the end of September, certain nightclubs and certain venues of certain sizes will need some kind of COVID passport to be presented before you're allowed in. Is that as clear as? Have I understood that correctly, or is there anybody who actually knows a bit more detail than that?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's exactly what is being suggested and mooted. I've seen quite a lot of chat about it. Venues really want to be safe. They want their venues to be safe. They want people to feel safe in them so that people can come. But I think to an extent, venues are certainly not anti this per se. It's more a punter sort of thing. But it does come down to who's administering it and how much it costs, because everything gets put on venues all the time, and it is a very time-consuming, expensive thing. Having to show your test and prove that you've passed it, etc., and your passports, and having everything checked. And I have a personal dislike for them. I really appreciate that when you go abroad, you have to supply proof that you've had malaria jabs, for example. And I get that, and I'm happy with that. But like going into your local nightclub, I mean, there is something about it that seems quite sinister, and how they're going to start, it starts isolating and marginalizing people who cannot do these things, or can't. And I just don't like them. So, but yes, as I understand it, nightclubs specifically will be requiring COVID passports.
But from my understanding, there's been no actual definition of which size nightclubs other than to say nightclubs and large venues.
No, they did say before. No, exactly. We've covered this briefly before, haven't we? Because they've said, what's your arbitrary figure? Because it was like anything above 500, or is it anything below 1,000? No, there hasn't been any guidance. It could end up being a venue initiative, and it just being a thing that you do to give your customers confidence. So it might be a personal sign-up thing. It's definitely not happening where I work. So it's definitely very optional at the moment.
And it does raise another question for me, but does this mean that anti-vaxxers who have their beliefs for whatever reason, I'm not judging, won't be allowed to go to live music in large gigs, in large venues? Well,
that certainly seems to be the case, doesn't it?
Have you got any other news you wanted to share with us?
I did share yesterday on my Facebook an event that's happening, which will be my first event at Trowbridge as the new in-house sort of tech type person. And I put that post up as a way of trying to advertise the gig, saying, come to my first gig here, it'll be really special. And obviously what it turned into is a congratulations on the new job post. That's not what I intended. So come watch Venus, Anika Venus.
Who we played on the show last week.
We did.
A great video. Amazing effects on, amazing makeup.
Yes, the makeup in the woods and that is lovely. Yes. But no real huge amounts of news, John, just that everything is happening. And if you be the change you want to see, don't be passive. Don't be afraid. Everybody's got something to contribute. Go out and do it.
That's very philosophical of you. Very
profound.
Very community-driven, spirited of you as well. Okay, cool. If you want to get in touch with us, our email address is sheerisolation@gmail.com. That's sheer with 2 E's. You can now go on to sheerisolation.co.uk because after 18 months, we've got a website for this where you can find all the previous shows and find out where you can listen to us on the various podcasts and radio stations. We will leave it at that, I think, Kieran. So thank you for joining me from your place of work.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
We will be back same time next week. I say same time as if you're listening at a specific time. I don't know. You might be listening. You could be listening on Listen Again. But we'll be back with another show next week.
Ciao.
So smooth.
Smooth.